everybody, Adam Cardinal Company team at HomeSmart, here with another podcast, another video, another fun bunch of stories here with Adam Dellemonico from Movement Mortgage. Thanks for coming out today and sharing some insight, some stories, and some cool background info.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get going, I'm going to brag on you a little bit. It's always better for a host to brag than him to be like, this is what I did. I hate when I hate bragging on myself, so I completely get it. But number one loan officer, first of all, you're the Dellemonico lending team at Movement Mortgage.
Yes.
Been doing this since like 2017,
Yep.
Hit the ground running. Number one, this is impressive, people, pay attention. Number one LO, loan officer in Rhode Island for 4 years running. Not in Movement Mortgage, all of Rhode Island. Number one.
Yep.
Number one loan officer under 30 nationally for this past year, right? Number two loan officer under 40 nationally this past year, right? Am I getting all this
Yep.
stuff right?
Nailed
Wow.
it. Yep.
And one of the top loan officers for Rhode Island housing for first-time home buyer loans and programs. That is awesome. That, like,
Appreciate it. Yeah. It's been a crazy few
you
years.
You don't sleep, do you?
Yeah, it's been a crazy few years, but
Yeah.
you know, I always say if you love what you do, you're not working, right?
You know, there's one more accolade.
Most importantly.
Yes, the number one loan officer worldwide is voted by your mom, right? Hi, Mom.
That is
You
my
wanna
number
say-
one.
you wanna
Hi,
say hi?
Mom. Thanks for the vote. One of one. That's the most important one.
Absolutely. So, what are we talking about? You've been in, it's 2017, right?
Yeah, 2017. So I just passed the 7-year mark, and I'm coming up on 7 years with Movement. I've been there pretty much from the jump.
Yep. That's amazing.
Yeah, so 6 months at a different company, and then I joined Movement in December of 2017, which it's we're just saying it's wild how fast time
Yes.
flies in this business,
Yep.
just in general. So.
What drew you to Movement?
Yeah, it was first was their brand. They have a really great local reputation. Like local in Rhode Island is the number one thing,
Yeah.
right? Like people want to know who you are, be able to go to a local branch and not have like it's a big company, but not have that big company feel.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you just don't want to go online and click buttons to get a mortgage?
Exactly. They like the local presence, and I know as an agent you can appreciate that as well.
Yes.
So I wanted a good local presence, a good brand. They move quickly, close fast. They do upfront underwriting, which helps eliminate any hurdles along the way from a transaction. So they just kind of checked every box, and the culture was really what made it stuck, and that is why I've stayed, and I'm planning to retire here.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same model and reasoning that brought me and my team to HomeSmart. After 7 years somewhere else, coming here, it was the culture. It is a larger national brand, but it's Rhode Island.
Yeah.
HomeSmart is Rhode Island. It's all Rhode Islanders. Dean runs this tight ship here, and it's a whole different thing. And buyers, when you're out there and you're shopping around, yes, you can go online. Yes, you can click a button. Yes, they can say you're pre-approved for X, but nothing beats being able to talk to somebody locally here in Rhode Island that you can actually sit down in front of. They know the ins and outs of the neighborhoods, of the stats, of the people. All this stuff is important. It's not just about the numbers. Hey, this is how much you're approved for, but what about so you take one of those big giant conglomerates
Right.
that shoot missiles off as their logo.
Right.
They don't know all the ins and outs. And there's certain programs that they don't have access to.
Yeah, like Rhode Island Housing, for example, like it's the most prominent first-time home buyer program in Rhode Island, and they aren't not licensed to do Rhode Island Housing.
Yeah.
These bigger companies or these out-of-state banks, and they don't know the ins and outs of flood insurance and what areas do and what areas don't, and how the homestead works for taxes. And it's just there's some quirks that are really state to state. So having someone hyper local is crucial.
There's those microclimates too
Definitely.
within, let's say, Cranston, right? I always bring up Cranston because I'm a Cranston guy.
Great example, yeah.
But there are 5 zip codes in Cranston. In Cranston, I mean, it's not that big, but there's 5 different zip codes, 5 different areas. You can't be comparing like 02905 and 02921.
Yeah.
Like completely different things. So even as a realtor, you have to know those microclimates and know what's going on locally to be able to do your job correctly.
Right. Even in Rhode Island, where it's a small state, but like you said, the market can be drastically different, not even from end of the state to end of the state, but in one specific area. Warwick's another really good example, right?
Yeah.
Like there's tons of different markets in Warwick, and it's just one town in a very small state. But again, it pays to have that hyper-local knowledge.
Yes, because a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath ranch house, same square footage, whatever, it's 1,400 square feet, is going to be tens of thousands of dollars difference in price from this area in Warwick to that area in
100%,
Warwick.
yeah.
And
Well
even
said.
could be up even 50 grand higher in that area of Warwick.
Right.
So you have to know, and that's the same type of things with loan officers. You need to know all those local programs, what's going on, like even like Rhode Island Housing with self-efficiency on a 3-unit.
Right.
You try doing that with one of those big box
Yeah.
brokerages,
They'll
like
be
you're
blindsided.
doomed.
Yeah, there'll be mines left and right that are stepped on, and that's why it's so important. And I always recommend, if people want to get a second opinion, that's fine, but do it hyper local. Hyper local. There's a lot of. It's not just Movement. There's a lot of great local companies in the state, but that's just a shout out to the local lender community, not the big box company, because this is just too important of a transaction to go with the big box company that doesn't know the ins and outs of Rhode Island.
This is one of the biggest purchases people make in their life.
Definitely.
It's biggest investment. When it's a seller, same on that side. I had somebody who wanted to accept an offer for a 3-unit for 60 some odd thousand over asking. It was a Rhode Island housing buyer.
Yeah.
The lender said, "Oh, no problem." The buyer's agent said, "No problem." And I'm looking at the comps for the rents and self-sufficiency, and I'm going, "Oh, problem."
Yeah, no way. No way it passes. Yeah.
So you have to know all that stuff.
100%.
So speaking right now, we are in the end of 2024 when we're recording this. You're probably going to see some of these in 2025 as they come up to in the smaller sections and the reels. We're still in a housing shortage.
Definitely.
As of right now, which is still forecasted to continue. So would you have some ways that people could buy a home before they sell it? What's some options there to
absolutely.
do that?
It's definitely still a competitive market, and while it is softening, it's just the time of the year. It always, fourth quarter is always a little bit slower in New England. So we're still seeing very competitive situations where there's 5, 10, 20 offers on one house, and one way to make yourself more competitive is to eliminate some contingencies. So contingencies like home inspection or appraisal, but the biggest one is the home sale contingency.
Yes.
Right. If you're comparing offers, if one has a home sale contingency, meaning you have to sell to buy, and you have 5 that don't, you're automatically pushing this one to the bottom of the pile, right? That's just the reality of the market. However, there's definitely some ways that you can buy without selling. So the biggest thing is it's called a recast. So if you can support it, both mortgage payments from a debt to income perspective, so just basically your monthly debt, your monthly income, if you can on paper support 2 mortgages, even if you don't plan to for a long period of time, you're able to do the minimum down payment, which is anywhere from 3.5% to 5% down, depending on what program. And then after you buy and then go to sell your property, you can take the proceeds from the sale and put it down on your mortgage, and all we do is re-amortize the mortgage payment. You don't have to refi. You can eliminate mortgage insurance. You can restructure the payment based on the new loan amount, which would have been what it would have been if you sold and bought same time. But it eliminates the need to make them contingent on each other, which is crucial. I mean, we've helped dozens of families this year do it that way because they can eliminate the home sale contingency, wait the 2-3 months till their house sells, and then get the mortgage payment at the end of the day that they desire.
Because that's the first I'm hearing of this.
Yeah, it's
because
huge.
in the past, it's been all right, if I was going to do that and sell my property, and then I wanted to move that into my equity, I had to do the refi.
Yeah, which is thousands of dollars.
I was going to say thousands of dollars for the refi. So it's
a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game.
That's
All you do is
awesome.
adjust your monthly payment. It's just a re-amortization of the mortgage payment. And there's a couple caveats, like you have to make 3 payments at the original loan amount. So you make 3 payments.
Yeah, and
no
that's
big
the
deal.
time you're taking
to sell
the other one
anyway. And then that's it. And that's really it. As long as there's 3 on-time payments, that you can do it this way. Saves thousands of dollars. You don't have to go through the mortgage process again. But the biggest thing is it makes you super competitive because you can remove that contingency. Now you do have to have 5% down, liquid. So if you're not using the equity, you have to have 5% saved, and you have to be able to support both mortgages, debt to income wise, which many people are able to do, even if they don't plan to long term. On paper, they just have to.
And sometimes it's easier to get out of the house you're selling.
Oh yeah, take
so
your
then
time.
it can be fixed up a little bit. You can have photography done,
Definitely.
virtually staged, and it's so much easier to show.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of people like, hey, I'm trying to cook dinner, and I know people are coming to look at my property, in
Right.
an hour, and now my house smells like liver and onions.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and you just don't have to stress about buying and selling same time, movers, that whole
Yep.
that whole dance. It can be really stressful. So this eliminates that stress and makes buyers way more competitive. It helps with their sale, their resale, what they get for their house can be more
Yeah.
if they clean it up and do some minor fixes.
Yep.
So it's a really great option, and that's what I see most buyers doing
Yeah.
when they need to buy and
Is
sell.
there a special name for that program?
It's called recasting.
Just
It's
recasting?
called recasting, yeah.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's one of the advantages. We service the strong majority of our loans, so we don't sell them off. And if you don't service your loans, you can't do the recast. So that's
Yeah.
why it's such a huge
So that's
advantage.
another thing I didn't know. So you guys keep everything
Yeah, I'd say we
in-house.
keep about 80 to 90% of our loans we keep in-house. Like Rhode Island Housing services their own loans,
Yeah.
so that, and then investment in second homes, I'd say we service about 50-50
Yep.
of ours, but that's only a small portion,
Yeah.
investment in second homes. And then our primary residence, I'd say it's like 80 to 90% of our primary residences we service, which is
Yeah.
huge, because then they just contact me for anything. I have direct access to their account.
Yep.
Other great thing is the ones that we don't service, we have a partnership with, we have two servicers that we would sell to, and we have direct access to the portal on their side as well.
Yeah.
So the whole thought that our CEO rolled out is the customer for life. Right,
Yes.
that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's
my model,
That's
too.
from
That's
top
weird.
down, right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
from the top of our company down to me on the street is customer for life, and that's one way that we can do that.
Yep. Yeah, we aim for that same thing. We're
Yeah.
Realtor for life. We always say you go to the same doctor your whole life, your same mechanic, the same dentist, and those things are painful.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
right? So
Exactly.
come to the same realtor, come
Yeah.
to the same LO. We know the story, we know the background. Work with the same person over and over again because it's building a relationship.
Totally.
And a rapport, and you get better service that way.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are some of the the standard do's or don'ts? I was just approved. You just approved me to buy my mortgage. I'm getting going. I had an offer accepted. What are some do's and don'ts that are definitely, hey, put on the brakes. Don't do this till after you close.
Yeah, 100%. So like probably the number one question I get asked is about furniture, right?
Yeah.
So like, so the do's and the don't around furniture is you can buy furniture, absolutely, but don't spend your down payment money, right?
Yeah.
If the numbers are tight, don't open up a new credit card to save
Yeah.
10%. You can do that after closing,
Yes.
but not before closing because we still monitor credit. So no new debt. Don't spend your down payment money. Try to avoid any like large cash deposits.
I want to go buy like a Lamborghini for like $300,000. Is that all right?
I mean, hey, if you can afford it cash, then go right ahead.
Yeah,
but
but
if
then
it
there's
messes
no
with your
cash.
credit, then don't worry, absolutely not. So yeah, so new credit is an issue. Spending down payment money prior to closing, large cash deposits that we can't source, changing jobs. Those are kind of the ones that come to mind. Is just basically keep your finances status quo because
Yeah.
just because you got the approval, the initial approval, or even the final approval, your credit is still monitored prior
Right
to
to the
closing.
end.
Right until the very end. We do a final verification the last day.
Yep.
That's a soft inquiry, just making sure that nobody opened up new debt.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you go and someone goes, like you're saying, go to the furniture store and
Yeah.
sign up. Oh, I'm going to save this and my furniture is going to be delivered. Too bad you don't have a house to deliver it to.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, in some cases, people are in a financial position where it won't hurt their debt to income. Like that's
Yeah.
fine, but you just want to monitor that. You want to try to limit any financial activity as much as possible.
Yeah, because then you have people. A lot of people don't know. I submit my docs and I'm done. No. All right. Like we're recording this. It's the beginning of November. So as people hit November, what comes out? Bank statements. Now you need an updated bank statement. Pay stubs, income verification. We're gonna need another set from
100%.
So all that stuff, it continues. Once you're approved, it's not the end all be all. Until you're at the closing table
Yes.
and you sign, and the attorney takes the paperwork and goes down to record it at City Hall, it's not a done deal.
Yep. It's not
So-
over till it's recorded.
No, inhale. That's it. Wait.
Yeah, don't move. It's very well said, and and like I mentioned, a lot of times you're not going to run into an issue if you do these minor things, but you always check with the loan officer. You always be 100% honest,
Yeah.
because with technology, like we find out everything.
correct.
We will find and it's not we're not looking, we're not trying to cause these issues.
Yeah.
But that's how loan approvals work. We
Yeah.
have to make sure that they qualified day one and they qualified the day of closing.
And it's not only buyers. I've had sellers. The
Oh, yeah.
same thing. I had a seller not too long ago. They didn't owe much of anything on the property, but they were getting another property and they took out a line of credit. So we go to sell that house and we're under contract to sell it and we're supposed to close, and then the title search comes up and they'll say, well, there's another lien on the property. They're like, no, there's no mortgages on the property. You have a line of credit. Well, yeah, that's not a mortgage. No, but you still got to pay back this $100,000.
Right.
What do you think? You were just going to be able to walk away with?
It's exactly the same.
And they took that out like a month before.
Right.
Like, why would you do that?
And if they just talk to you about it, you'd probably be able to advise them where they could have done that, but also known how that would have
I
impacted
became the bad guy in that situation.
That's
because,
crazy.
well, that's not, you were told there was no, I said, yeah, you told us, so you lied. But I didn't find it. The attorneys found it on the buyer side, and everybody would have got sued. Like, just be upfront and honest, or you're going to get sued at the end of the day. Like, you just...
Yeah, you got to avoid those things. And the biggest takeaway I'd say for that is just like trust the professionals that they're going to have your best interest. Like, people are sometimes scared to tell me certain things, but it's like, no, tell me everything, and will guide you on how to navigate your specific situation to get to the final goal of closing smoothly without any stress. We're on the same team.
Yeah. So we're going to go into some stories too.
Love it.
Some fun stuff, because it's not all business. We actually love what we do.
Yeah.
I know you do too.
Oh, yeah.
It's about bringing, it's not sales. Like, there are real estate salespersons. There are mortgage loan officers, just just push it down people's throat. And then there are people that actually care.
Right.
And want that contact for life.
Yeah, a relationship.
A relational transaction. Much different when you're working with a realtor or an LO who's got that relationship mindset versus salesperson mindset, where they're just trying to get the deal done, they're trying to make their commission. I've talked more people out of properties than, nope, this isn't a good investment, or this property, I give them the information, let them make the decision, but in my opinion, it's not a good investment because of X, Y, and Z, or, you have to do it.
I think, honestly, that real quick, that's something very, very important for folks to take away, is that you've talked people out of something that would earn you commission, which is incredible. It just speaks volumes about how you handle yourself in business, but there's very few people that would do that, because that hurts your bottom line. But again, it's not just about your bottom line, right? It's about the client and creating the customer for life. So I just wanted to highlight that. I think that's
that's one. I think I've told the story before, but one of my really, really, really tight friends I met maybe 13 years ago. He came into an open house as an investor looking at stuff, and just stayed in touch with him, did a deal with him, did another deal with him, and went on for like years and years and years, like 20-something deals. And eventually he said to me, because contractors and investors typically go right to the listing agent. They think they can get a better deal. Sometimes they can, but not always. But they're like, oh, if I buy this for this, I'll also list it. So will you reduce things? They're always trying to
save a couple bucks.
Save a couple of bucks. But he said, you know why I come to you? You know why I come back to you time after time, and I'll only work with you? And I'm like, why? He said, because you've talked me out of more properties than anyone I've ever met, and we never lost. In 13 years working together, we got another one that's going now. We'll be up in a few weeks. He's never lost.
Wow.
He's never lost, because I advise him the same way I would.
Trust. Yeah, you build that trust, and that's how you create the customer for life.
Yeah, absolutely. That customer for life thing, I mean, you're in there and you're having these moments. What's one of the most memorable, rewarding, you went, yes, I got the house. What's one of those feel goods?
Yeah, so it was a family. So there was 3 people on the loan. There was the father, the wife, and the daughter. So it was the 3 of them on the loan. And English was not their first language. They're first generation that came to the United States, and some of the hardest working people that I've ever met. Between the 3 of them, they had 7 jobs. Between the 3 of them. Wow. And I remember clear as day, there was a driver for Brown University, the shuttle, and one worked for Providence Journal. I remember it vividly, and it's 7 jobs between the 3 of them. They were just hardworking, just the kindest people. They did everything that I told them to do as far as getting their credit together, and they bought a house. This was back in 2019, and still to this day, it's by far some of my favorite people, just because of how hardworking they are, and I just can really appreciate that, where they came here with nothing. They built a good life for themselves, and they ended up buying a 3-family in 2019 for $290,000.
Wow.
And so I always check on, I talk to my clients about once a year. We'll do an annual check-in, and their house now is worth like $650,000.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just they're creating general wealth, generational wealth for their kin to come because of that one investment that they made back in 2019. So it's a great story. It's an amazing family, and seeing how much equity they've built and how much wealth they've built just from that one transaction. I mean, it's just my favorite by far.
Yeah. See, that's relational. That's someone who cares. That's someone who's just not trying to make another dollar, trying to make another sale. To get that enthusiasm, to see you light up when you talk about that family, that tells you everything you need to know about who you're working with when you work with Adam Dellemonico and the team. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, they're special. Yeah, they're special people. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, that's what we feel too. Like, no matter what, it's always like just it's feel good.
Yeah,
especially when it's those buyers that, like you're saying, really deserving.
Oh yeah.
Like hustle, they work
their butt off. 7 jobs between 3 people. It's just crazy. It's crazy, and it's easily the most memorable.
Yeah. Love that. So what's your best rescue story? Like I know. So here's what happens when we get these rescues. Sometimes, say as a buyer's agent, a buyer comes in and they're already pre-approved with whatever loan officer. It could even be one of those national shoot missiles into the sky labeled ones. And they're pre-approved, and here's the information, and we're 3 weeks out from closing, and everything starts to go south because of improper due diligence in the beginning or improper information gathered. What's one of your rescue stories where you had to step in someone else's place, get rid of this person? They said, please help us. What's one of those stories?
Yeah. So another really this one was not as far back as 2019. This was at the beginning of the year, actually. And it was, it was a single mom. And she was purchasing a small 2-bed, 1-bath house that was just like she was so excited, the most important thing to her. She ended up going to an online company because that's just like what people see, that's what they think, it's in your face. Yeah. Any sporting event, you see the marketing for these big companies. So she went online, talked to 3 different people in the first week, and didn't know who her rep was, didn't really have a good relationship. And unfortunately, like during the transaction, a very early part of the transaction, it was a 30-day close, she got laid off. Which is horrible. It's just heartbroken. However, the company that she was there for like 6 or 7 years, and they really liked her, just they were downsized and they had to make these layoffs, but they gave her recommendations for 3 different companies that were in the same industry, same line of work, same job, and wrote her a great recommendation letter and all that jazz. And so she was in the process of getting a new job during that transaction still. So it was probably 10 days into the transaction that this all happened. And within like 3 or 4 days, she had an interview and was going to get an offer letter for same job, same line of work. And the big box company basically said, like, no, it doesn't matter. You would need to extend for 30 days plus to get 2 pay stubs, and like just the offer letter is not good enough. And she was a salaried employee. Yeah. And she's going to a same line of work, new salary job, exact same lateral move, just a different company. And they said, nope, you can't do that.
Wow.
Which they didn't listen to her story. They didn't know the details of the offer that she was getting. They didn't even really want to hear it. And they just basically said, no, like, we have to deny your loan, which was like heartbreaking. Literally single mom getting ready to move, already told a bunch of people. And so we got the file with 10 days left till closing, and we hit the closing date in 10 days from start to finish. And so
that's
was
like
great.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a good one because it just took time to listen to the story and like understand the situation and ask the right questions. And the other company just didn't have the time or didn't want to do that.
Well, they don't have the time. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
There's when you go to those big box places to get your mortgage, you're right, you're calling, it's always somebody different.
Every time.
And as a buyer's agent, trying to reach out to get updates, oh my God,
it's painful.
So painful trying to get people to respond, send email after email after email, and I'm not talking about like in the same day. I'm talking 3 or 4 days. You send an email, you should have a response within 24 hours or less. I'll give you grace. 24 hours.
That's generous.
In our world, like you email me, what happens? 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, instant.
I mean, it might be an hour if I'm out on the road, but same day. unless you're emailing me at 8 o'clock
Of
at night.
course, yeah, within reason. If you
But-
email at 12,
Yeah, that's why I'll give them grace till
Yeah, yeah, that's
24
fair.
hours.
I
Like,
like
all
it.
right, maybe you took the day off, maybe you went out for lunch and you got sick and you went home early, fine. But to go 3 and 4 days without a response,
Unacceptable, yeah.
yeah, makes me
Yeah.
absolutely bananas. I was going to ask you this next question. I mean, I can't imagine that this might even be faster than this 10-day thing you pulled around. But what's the fastest you've had a client that needed to move?
Yeah, so it's funny because they needed, so there's kind of two ways to answer this. The actual clear to close, how long that took, but from when I had the first conversation with them to when they closed was 19 days, which is crazy because if you think about
Yeah,
everything
that's
that
like cash.
happens, like, yeah, so when I first met them, first pre-approved them on day one, pre-approved them same day, they went shopping that weekend,
Yep.
and then they put in a 2-week closing turnaround. So from first conversation to them getting the keys was 19 days,
Yep.
which is wild. The actual clear to close took 7 days. We got it done in 7. That was that's the fastest. But I just think it's a great story because I had the conversation on day one and it only took 19 days from meeting them to when they closed,
Yep.
which like 19 days for the transaction as a whole is fast.
Super fast.
But to find a house, to get pre-approved, find a house, and then close in 19 days, that was like, that was lightning. That was lightning fast.
Yeah.
And then the clear to close was 7 days. I ordered a rush appraisal. The title company turned it around for us.
Yeah.
John LaPointe, the insurance company got us a quick binder. We just had the right team in place, executor at every stage. Yeah, 19 days from conversation to closing.
So on their pre-approval or their were they pre-underwritten? Was like this like
Yeah, not even pre-underwritten because they came to me on a Thursday and they were seeing houses that weekend.
Yep.
So, they filled out the application Thursday, they sent me documents Friday. Granted, it was a clean file. They were salaried, great credit, they had money saved up in the bank. There wasn't anything like overall, like
it's
overly
like a perfect storm
Yeah.
of goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go, buy the house.
Yeah, exactly. Where like I didn't need, we do the fully underwritten pre-approval on every client if we have the time to do so. But if people need a quick pre-approval turnaround, like I'm still going to review all their documents. I know what the underwriter's looking for.
Yeah.
If there was a hairy file, then absolutely I would tell them to hold off, wait to go see houses, but they were a slam dunk. So, reviewed everything myself, and then that weekend they looked at a house on Saturday, offered on Sunday, had the contract by Monday, and a week later we were clear to close.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
The execution at every level was there on that one. Yeah,
That's-
that's going to be tough to top. I don't know.
Yeah, 19. I mean,
From first conversation, that's that part.
so just for anyone who's watching this, if you don't know, even a cash transaction takes 15 to 20 days
Yeah.
because typically the title company needs
The
that
turnaround.
week and a half, and the attorneys need that time to get all that done. Like with a
100%.
mortgage in place, I've never heard of anyone ever doing it faster than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm normally impressed at 25 days.
Which is great, yeah.
Yeah,
We
that impresses me.
Yeah. I mean, this year alone, we're pretty dialed in this year. Like every year we've done good, but efficiency's key, and our average clear to close this year is 16 days average. So I know yeah.
And I've witnessed that firsthand because we've had deals, even when I'm on the selling side. That's what's awesome too, for when you're a listing agent and you see his name, you see Adam Dellemonico on that pre-approval, they keep us informed on the listing side too. Be like, hey, we're in this portion, this was done, and it's like, wow. Like you're kind of
Just
blown
because
away.
we have a 45-day closing, like I know the mortgage is stressful, so why not just knock it out, in the first 2-3 weeks?
Why drag it out?
Yeah.
If that's the contingency is to get the mortgage, but why take it? All right, it's due on the 30th of this month. If it can be done early,
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, I don't even put closing dates in my system because everything is just as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That's how we operate. It's just like as soon as possible. If there's a special date, like if it's fast, like I'll note it. But I don't care if I have 50 days till closing or 2 weeks. I'm still going to operate as if we need to get this done ASAP.
Yeah, get it done. All right. So the other thing is when we're out here shopping for these homes, there's not a lot of homes. We're still in that housing shortage nationwide. I don't even know the numbers are absurd nationwide.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know in Rhode Island we are, we have maybe a month and a half supply of homes. An even keeled market is normally like 6 months,
Wow.
5 to 6 months of inventory.
we have a month and a half.
We have a month and a half of inventory. So we get buyers that come in. You put in an offer once, twice, 3 times. I'm upset. I didn't get it. I got outbid. Something else happened. What is the longest you've had to work with somebody from beginning to end, to go through all of these steps. Maybe it's multiple offers, but they just kept at it, and at the end, they got the house.
Yeah, so this is a great story because our system tracks how long a lead has been in the system for. So I can see how many days since I initially started the pre-approval application.
I'm gonna just text myself real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want you to see it.
Take a guess.
No. This is for one that was mine. I want to see if
Okay.
they're gonna break
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I just put that in there
All
just so I could show you.
Perfect. So it's a couple things with the client. So they, from start to finish, they were in our system for over 1,100 days, which is over 3 years.
You win.
Yeah. From start to
Wow.
finish. So, because it was, but they were such great people, and like we said with the relational, like it doesn't even matter. I was so happy that they ended up getting, but 1,100 days. They were at over 1,100 days in our system. We have to renew a pre-approval every 120 days.
Yep.
So they renewed their pre-approval 9 times.
And they just kept.
They kept going. They made 31 offers. So, and it was not
What
for
year
lack
was
of
this?
trying. So this was in 2021. Was when
Okay,
they
yeah.
officially 2021 or 20. It was at the peak of competitiveness.
Crazy,
They were up
craziness.
against, and they were in a really competitive price point. They were between 350 and 425,
Oh.
which was like just very challenging. They were great people. They were first-time home buyers. They used Rhode Island housing. They were just very deserving of a house, and they were second like 5 or 6 times. They were, top 5 like just about every time. So whenever we do pre-approve somebody, we tell them anytime you see a property that you're interested in, send it to us, and we'll run the numbers for you.
Yeah.
Guess how many numbers? I went back and guess how many numbers we ran for them. Guess how many houses?
Oh my God, it had to be like if they put in 30 offers.
Yeah,
you
30
said?
offers.
75, 80.
179 houses.
Oh my.
Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
179 houses we talked about, ran numbers for over 3 years. They renewed their pre-approval 9 times, 31 offers, and then finally they landed the perfect property. They're so happy, and we do a client appreciation event every year, and since they've closed, they've been to the 2, and so seeing them, they're just like, they boast about it because we stuck with them. They went through 3 agents that just got kind of burnt out with how long it was taking, and yeah, it was 1,100 days, 179 properties ran, 9 pre-approvals, and 31 offers.
And
it just
people,
like
and people
sticks.
think, oh, all you do is some paperwork and you wait and get paid.
Yeah,
No, they
No,
don't. They don't see. You don't see the hours. Just when you're working with a buyer as a buyer's agent, there's 115 steps, minimal, 115 steps to bring them from starting the search to closing. 115. That's if everything goes good. That's if everything you find one right away.
Yeah.
But the same. It's clearly there's a lot more hours involved.
Yeah, totally. Because we know that every property, like you talked about micro markets, it's every property is going to be different. So I want people to be comfortable. Rates change. They went through so many different rate cycles. Like it was such a roller coaster, but worth every 1,100 days that I spent with them because they're just the best people. And buyers who get discouraged after a couple of offers, like that's just a story to keep them motivated, to keep them at it. Because if you listen to your professionals, if you're putting in good offers, it is just a matter of time.
Yeah.
100%. If you keep swinging, you take advice, you learn from the offers that you don't get, you will land a property.
Yeah.
It's just I see people bow out after a couple of offers because they get discouraged. Now there's no excuses because this person didn't get discouraged after 3 years.
I have somebody who got discouraged, didn't even put in any offers.
Oh, geez.
We went and looked at a few. Oh, there's just nothing I want to. Yeah, well, there's nothing today.
Yeah.
But what's going to come on the market tomorrow, or the next day, or a month from now? Like, just you don't have to be out there pounding it every day, looking at every single house. Look at the ones you want to look at. Like, but
Yeah, it's too bad.
everybody's different.
Yeah, it's true. But if they keep at it, they will land something if they're motivated. So just don't get discouraged. That's the big takeaway.
Yep. So I had one of those. Mine was 2 years. You can see it right there.
2 years.
2 years.
Still crazy.
Still crazy. But I worked with this client for 2 years. First-time home buyer, single mom. This was like 2012-ish, maybe. And smaller budget. At the time, I think we were looking at stuff like $110,000.
Wow.
And it took us 2 years, but we got that house.
Yeah.
And she is one of our biggest cheerleaders.
Client for life.
She comes to every event.
That's amazing.
We see her all the time. We do our pop buys. Whatever. She just calls just to chat. That's how we are.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. And now to see even her son is getting a job he has to kind of go into an apprenticeship in this thing. So she's like, can you write a letter for my son? Like
So
yeah,
cool.
like
Oh,
I
man.
love that stuff.
That's awesome.
That's like the feel goods.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, we're not just, your realtor, like, you're not just the LO. Like, hey, yes, we care about you
Right.
and your family. We want to see you thrive. We want to see you succeed. We want to see you be happy.
Yeah, we're
you
there
know?
every step of the way. A lot of people wouldn't have stuck with them for 2 years because I know as a buyer's agent, you're probably driving around the
Yeah.
whole state of Rhode Island multiple times.
Oh yeah, and back then, 2012, there was a ton of properties to look
Oh,
at.
yeah,
There
that's
was
true. Yeah.
so many. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But you do what you got to do. You make it about them.
Right, it's not about us.
It's
Yeah.
not about us. Yes, all right. We get paid to do what we do.
Of course.
At the end of the day, but you put the client first. That client first mentality will bring you to number one, as it shows.
Try.
Every single time. So.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Hey, thank you so
Of
very
course,
much
yeah, it was
for
great.
sitting down
Yeah,
with us.
yeah, thanks for
So,
having
hey, if you're looking to sell or buy in RI, I'm your guy, Adam Cardinal and Company team at HomeSmart. And if you need an amazing loan officer, Adam Dellemonico, the Dellemonico lending team at Movement Mortgage. What's the best phone number for them to reach you?
Yeah, area code 339-234-2988. And just because I don't have that 401 number, I am Rhode Island based. We're right in Providence.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching.
Thanks, guys.